The Raptors lose a wild one in overtime against the Milwaukee Bucks. 104-101, live from Real Sports. This is Raptors Tonight. I'm Randy Urban, joined by Paul Jones, Alvin Williams, and Sherman Hamilton. Sherman, that was probably one of the craziest ending of a game I think I've ever seen in my life.
And beginning.
And beginning, too, absolutely. Just your first impression.
It was terrible offensively in the first quarter. It got weird. It was that bad. But I've said this many times. If you can't score, just make sure they're not scoring. And that's what the Raptors were able to do in that first quarter. And that's the only reason why they had a chance late in this game to be in it. I thought their defense was good to great at times during this game. And the game plan on Giannis, they executed it. And a great player, everybody knows this, a great player is going to get what they get. They're involved too much to take everything away. So Giannis was great on the glass. They kept his field goal percentage down. He assisted because he had to, but I thought they did a great job on Giannis. But the way that fourth quarter went, the last 3 minutes or so, I don't think I've seen that before. Mm-hmm. The last minute of the game. Mm-hmm. But this is a testament to this team and how they will not quit. No matter what's up against them, they won't quit. And they got it to overtime. I don't know how they did it, but they got it to overtime, and it was impressive to see them do that. Yeah.
Al, what stood out to you when the Raptors were making that huge run in the fourth quarter?
It was just one of those things where, I mentioned on the air, I was like, it's like you feel something. Like you feel, and you saw a missed free throw, then you saw a turnover, and then you see the Raptors score. Then you see Scottie Barnes start getting into a rhythm, getting layup after layup after layup, which he wasn't getting early on. And then, the Bucks were still turning the ball over. So the turnovers, to me, is what allowed the Raptors to be in that position. And then, to me, also luck. Like, luck is part of it.
Yeah.
And then a couple plays from some Bucks players that may have not been in that position if Middleton was there or Holiday was there. So they made some mistakes as well. But the Raptors not giving up, that stood out to me. And Sherm said it, we've seen this Raptors team play all the way to the end. But as of late, in my mind, the energy hasn't always been there at the end of games. It seemed like they became disconnected a little bit, whether it's the game plan, whether it's effort. Tonight was the time where they stayed together, they rode the course, and they put themselves in position to send this game in overtime and even win.
That's a great point, because usually when we see them falter down the stretch, they've had to fight to get back into the game, a big deficit. That wasn't the case. It's not like Milwaukee ran away from them, they had to catch them. Their defense held them in, so they didn't have to chase the way they normally would. So they didn't falter down the stretch. They actually got stronger down the stretch, which was impressive.
Minute 16 to go. They were a minute 19 to go. They were down 16 points.
Yeah, 3:10 to go. It was 90-69.
And
28-7 run.
Yeah.
Nick Nurse, and this is something that hit me in training camp when we were there. And we're allowed to go in and watch practice, and Nick always impressed upon his guys. Things would happen during the course of the scrimmage and practice, and he would just clap his hands and say, "Come on, keep playing, no matter what, keep playing." And I think you saw that tonight. Mm-hmm. They were down big, and people are like, "Well, why doesn't he clear the bench or what?" No, he still felt that they had something in them. And to that point of no matter what, keep playing. I gotta tell you, in the first quarter, I was literally looking through the media guide for the lowest scoring quarter in Raptor history. I think it was 9 or 7, and I was like, actually at one point I was flipping through the guide. They missed their first 12, 14 shots, but to the point that the guys made here, Milwaukee wasn't anything to write home about with 2 of 18 either. Right? So it had that kind of feel of a circa 1990, like, I'm not scoring, but you're not coming down to this end and just getting anything easy either. And I thought the Raptors did a good job on Giannis in that Nick has the game plan, mm-hmm. and he pulls it out of his pocket every time he sees Giannis. Mm-hmm. And now it's like, personnel-wise, who's going to do this on the game plan? Who's going to do this on the game plan? Who's going to do this? And at the end, OG's taking charges. When Giannis gets downhill, you're lights out. But I thought they did a better job later in the game of pushing up on him so he couldn't eat up the space, so he couldn't close the gap and get going downhill. And,
it's amazing that he had this triple-double, but it did feel like they were bottling him up.
it was a quad. He had 12
10
turnovers.
10 turnovers.
Yeah.
12 turnovers.
12
But
turnovers.
it's to the point where when you're coaching and with a unit, I would rather not hear you down 20. I'd rather hear you down 5 possessions or 6 possessions.
Ah, okay.
So when you even at that deficit, it's like, all right, there's 3 minutes left, but there's 7 possessions. We get a stop, we get a score, we get a stop. Now that 7 is less than 25. And it gives your team a mentality. And I think when you start doing that, you start also putting into effect like the importance of every possession. So guess what? I may not take a shot that I just want to take because I know the value of a possession. Because when you start playing postseason, we all know it's possession by possession by possession.
I also thought, basketball, hockey, football, they're games where at the end you're playing the opponent, but you're playing the clock. And I got the feeling from Milwaukee at times, Toronto would score and they'd look up at the clock and go, 2 and change, we're still up 16. No problem. Yeah, minute 40 to go, we're still up 14. So I thought Milwaukee started to play the clock, and the clock wasn't moving. And the Raptors,
when they took Giannis out, they took those guys out, and they're like, hold on, wait a second. We got to bring them back in.
Yeah.
So when you take a player out, a player at the end of the game, they're ready to take their sneaks off.
Yep.
They're ready. So now I'm like, hold on, we need you. So now the mentality shifts again, like, oh, now I got to go out. And you're going against a hot team that's playing hard, and they're desperate now. Now you come in from a place where mentally, I thought this game was over. We were packing in off the back-to-back, So it was interesting to see the dynamics, how the Raptors kept playing, and the Bucks, from a standpoint, relaxed.
And going back to Giannis real quick, that kick out, I thought they played great defense.
they had 5 guys around him.
Yeah, that's just a tough pass to make.
I think Sherm's point is well taken. He assisted because he had to.
Yeah.
There was no other. And what do you want if you're Toronto? Giannis at the rim, or Grayson Allen in the corner with somebody running at him?
It's just one of those plays that I'm like, before it went in, you just know it's going in, just because, it just
The way
felt
it's
like
going.
just the way it was going.
But he did it. I mean, that's the one thing that's underrated with Giannis, his passing ability.
Yeah.
I thought he always was, not always, but he was becoming a good passer. He just didn't have the personnel around him that could make those shots.
Yeah.
They were packing in. But his ability to pass the ball and his willingness to pass the ball is what's taking that team to another level. Of course, the players are very good, but his willingness to pass the ball and still get his own, that's why that team is so dangerous.
So Sherman, back it up a little bit. Go back to what you were saying from the first quarter. The Raptors went 2 for 23 there in that first quarter. It almost felt like the offensive
8.7% from the floor.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
When you said
Yeah.
that in the break, I was like,
That is not good.
7%.
It reminded you of growing up, probably.
What'd you say? 6.
what did you say?
Reminded me of when I was growing up.
Like was he was shooting?
Some of your math grades?
Yeah. Did you think that was more of a blessing in disguise, though, because it really allowed them to lock in defensively?
No, don't finish that. No. It wasn't a blessing in disguise.
No, but you can kind of start to, you're like, okay, it's not working at all here offensively. We really got to buckle down on defense. You have to give.
No.
All right. Give it
to
to
me,
me,
it
sir.
doesn't. Listen, they didn't want to start. What was it? 0-15 or whatever they started.
No,
They didn't want to
obviously.
do that. But it doesn't make you lock in more. I feel it makes you. It makes
Disconnected.
Yeah.
Panic.
Interesting.
Yeah.
100%.
I thought they defended well, though.
No, they did. That's
They
why you
did.
got to take your hat off to them because they didn't let the offense affect their
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
And that's the sign of a team that's been there, done that. The leaders and guys who understand, like, you got to disconnect from the offense to find where your positivity is. You got to know that defensively, you can still get this done, even if your offense isn't clicking. And they did a great job of hanging in there. They missed so many shots where it became, you could feel the pressure in the building on them. You know what I
yes,
mean? You could
yeah.
feel it, and there were some spatterings of boos, but they stayed locked into the defensive side of the basketball. And as much as we were talking about the Raptors missing their first 10 to 15, whatever it was, Milwaukee went on a streak where they missed 12 or 13 field goals in a row.
Yeah.
So that shows you that, if you're defensively good but offensively not good, you can stay in a game as long as you can make that other team have to work to get their buckets.
We talk about scoring and shooting being contagious when you're going like and you're swinging the ball and people are knocking shots down. It's the same way on the other end too. Guys are missing shots and it's like, okay, now it's my turn. Let me knock this one down. And you miss, and the next guy misses. It goes both ways in terms of, being contagious and creeping into everybody's psyche, and maybe squeezing the ball a little when teammates are missing shots.
Yeah, and it's as simple as the better teams. What teams do the right thing most of the time? Like if it's communication, if it's calling screens out, if it's fighting over screens, if it's boxing out, all of those things. What team has the discipline to do those things defensively?
Good habits.
All of the time. Habits. And what happens is a lot of times you don't have those habits and you don't have a team that plays for each other, one another. If their offense is gone and you start thinking about your next shot and your next opportunity, it immediately affects your defense. So that's the one thing, once again, you take your hat off to the Raptors, because it wasn't just the fact the Bucks was playing poorly. The Raptors were doing a good job, locking in, loading, creating turnovers and things like that.
And you can use that going forward.
This is a game you got to use going forward.
Yeah.
This is a game, and you look at, I was saying also, if I'm Scottie Barnes, and the rest of the guys, but if I'm Scottie Barnes, I'm watching tape tonight. I'm getting something to eat. I'm watching tape tonight.
What'd you tell him to get to eat? Steakums?
Tender vittles.
Tender vittles.
Whatever that is.
I know.
I
I
don't
it was
know.
dog food at some point.
Is it?
I don't know, but you said it.
I didn't mean for it to be dog food. But hey, watch some tape tonight. Watch tape and see how you can be impactful for a game or to your team. When teams are playing, they're zoning you up now.
Yeah.
They're taking you out of the game by not
even
having
a
to
zone.
work.
It's not even a zone.
No, it's not a zone, but they're zoning. They're zoning
It's
him out.
disrespectful.
Extreme drop defense.
It's disrespectful.
So it's the guy playing the area. He's not even. He's playing in the paint.
He's a free safety.
Yeah, so it's just like, all right, wherever he goes. So you watch those and you understand as a player, I'm gonna get my momentum going downhill. Get crafty if I want to turn my back. The times when he posted up in there, it didn't work. But when he took it off the dribble, and now Brook Lopez, and no offense, Brook Lopez at this age, and he's a stiff. He just uses his height. Scottie
does a good job of that, though.
He does.
Well, yeah, he
I mean,
does.
Milwaukee's defense, Milwaukee plays a drop defense. Like, that's Bud's style. Like, they put Lopez in the lane. But like you said, Al, when Scottie started going downhill at him, man, he would, and we've seen it before. It's not like he hasn't walked somebody down there before. He got into
with the
paint.
Pacers again.
Yeah.
Miles Turner.
Yeah.
I was about to say that.
Yep.
Yeah.
They played him like that, and I'm sure Milwaukee saw the tape and said, hold on a second. If he's going to stay on the perimeter, we're not sending anybody out there until he decides offensively he's going to do something. But what a Scottie did in the fourth quarter is what he needs to establish in the first quarter.
First quarter.
Because he's that good. And I can't understand why 2 games in a row, he's just kind of allowed defenders to stay 10 to 15 feet away from him.
He's young.
Well,
I think because he's young, man. And I think when you're a young player and someone does something to you, it's kind of like if you're shooting, you're not shooting well, and then someone just keep letting you have it. Now you start thinking about your shot a little bit, like mentally. I think he's young. That's why I was talking about watching tape, because he's so young. He's still figuring the game out. He's figuring like, why the heck they playing me like this? Nobody probably ever played me like this before. So now he stick to his role. But fourth quarter, once again, he figured it out. So I think whether it needs to be encouraged by his teammates or the coaches, or he just has to take the initiative to say, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to be forceful. I'm going to hit force with force.
Grizzly Canuck was
Like
watching.
you're not buying that, huh?
No, I'm buying that. I'm saying he's got to be forceful. He's too skilled to not take advantage of all that real estate they're giving him.
Grizzly Canuck who's watching on YouTube, he wants to know, why has he lost his shooting confidence? Is it about confidence?
Well, I'll tell you this. Here's the irony of tonight. His shooting coach came to town, and he was getting extra shots up today. And, obviously they've identified something that needs to be fixed and working on it. And I don't know.
Shooting his jump shot is not going to get better during the season.
Yeah,
Like,
that's the tough
shooting is
part.
mental.
Yeah. Right.
Shooting is mental. Now you're going to have to go in the summertime, soon as the season ends, whatever adjustment you make, you got to commit to it. And that's going to be hours upon hours upon hours upon days.
And I thought he did that at the start of the year. Like the 3-ball that he took with rare frequency last year, he was stepping into and taking more confidently this year and was making them. And then it seems to have dissipated and disappeared a little bit.
I mean, he has that right forearm wrist taped.
Yeah.
And it makes me think something's happening with that shooting hand, because for him to not look at the basket, to me, is saying there's got to be something else happening here beyond him just not recognizing it. Physically, I wonder, I don't know, but I wonder if something's happening with his shooting hand. It's heavily taped around his wrist. Who knows?
I think he has to figure it out. And once again, I would attribute to him being young and trying to figure out, have an understanding of how can I impact the game in what way. But once again, as a young player, a lot of times it takes coaching, it takes encouragement, it takes, first and foremost, you putting the work in. He has to have the ability, that's what I said, once again, you got to go home and watch this tape, watch film, and see how you can be effective and break down a game. If he doesn't know how to do that, he has to sit with a coach.
Like a coach.
And they have to break down the game, see how he can be good individually and where his faults are or whatever he does well as a team.
And I'm thinking that it's not, in terms of Scottie being more aggressive, it's not just necessarily scoring the ball.
Yeah, no.
Just the downhill motion, the aggression, because he's too good of a passer. His vision is very good for a young player. And he's a willing passer. He'll make the play. But if he's stagnant and staying still and he's not looking at the basket, defenders don't have to defend him.
And that hurts your team.
It's the first thing you learn at Randy Urban basketball camp. Catch the ball, face the basket.
Well, it's called shoot off the pass fake. He's got that in T-shirts.
Shoot to get hot.
What did you see in how the Bucks guarded Siakam tonight? I thought he was frustrated a little bit.
A little bit. And I thought there were times when Pascal showed partial aggression. Like he got into the lane, and then I don't know if he was looking for people coming, like is there somebody coming from somewhere?
Right.
Didn't always finish, and the kickouts weren't there. Like there were some times early where he showed a little bit of indecision. I thought once the game got going, he got better at that.
I thought he did a good job defensively as well. He compete. You know, he made some big time that steal and got fouled with Giannis in overtime. I thought it would be a sixth foul, but on the defensive side, he competed, right? He competed, and the biggest thing was offensively he struggled, but those are big bodies.
Yeah.
Where he likes to work, he's going against Giannis, and then behind him, anchoring is
Brook
Lopez, and then you got Bobby Portis, who's another physical body that's a big
stood
guy.
him up a bunch of times.
Athletic.
So a lot of times it's not and you guys know, it's not the scheme, it's the personnel.
Yeah.
The Raptors, when you're playing against a Giannis, right, the scheme was always the wall to wall. But you have big bodies that he would have to fight through. If you don't have those big bodies, you can wall him up all day. He's going to bust through those bodies. So you got to have the personnel as well.
I thought in overtime he did a good job of attacking that one possession where I felt like he got fouled by Brook Lopez.
Yeah.
Rolled it off the rim. I'm like, that's an NBA foul. You got him in the air. They didn't call it. They come down.
But you can get that in. What I would like transition as well. Like when you saw Freddie take over in the first quarter, like I would love to see the Raptors get out and transition more, especially when their half court is struggling or they're struggling shooting. Like run the ball. One time, Gary Trent Jr. was running down the floor, and I just heard Nick say, "Run!" Run, like he was just jogging. Like you gotta run.
Yeah.
Like run. Like the Pacers.
There was enough missed shots to run off.
Yeah,
exactly. Right.
Like you get up and down. Like this team has the ability to run and get easier buckets. It seems like sometimes they get stagnant, and I think that's because the transition part of the offense is not. They don't really concentrate on it, not as a team, but
Well, that's their
individually.
strength, though. They're what, second in transition points?
Yeah.
Off of steals.
No, they're first in
First in points off turnovers,
steals,
yeah.
But they're
Yeah.
the second or third in transition points.
So let me ask you this: when you get a steal, would that be considered transition or no?
If you don't go in transition, I assume it's not. You can steal the ball and just set up offense.
Yeah.
But they're still like a top 2-3 team in
Push the
transition
ball.
points.
Push the ball. I mean, you don't have to grind the half court, especially when you're not making shots. Get some layups.
Silver lining from tonight, because this is a stretch. I think this is the most important stretch of the season, right? You've got 6 games in a row at home. You have to go on some sort of run. And I know you lose tonight in overtime, but there's got to be a silver lining here that you can translate to a win on Friday and then a win on Sunday. Like, you've got to string them together here, Jonesy.
Well, silver lining, you show the video, that fourth quarter and overtime. When we play hard, we're connected, we play together. We're a good team. And I thought it showed up late, particularly late in the fourth quarter. Like, think about it. It was like 85-69 or something. Like, it's this, like, people were leaving the arena. And like Alvin said,
These guys that were sitting behind us earlier today, they left and they were watching it from here. They were so mad.
Bud took Giannis out. The shooting sleeve came off. Like Alvin said, sneakers were coming off.
Yeah.
Game was done.
Yeah.
Right? And no matter what, keep playing. So I think that's something you can build on, but no matter what you do to build on or how well you play in a moral victory, until you get that W in the left-hand column, man, it's still give me a win.
Yeah.
You need some success.
There's a lot of focus on this 6-game homestand. Well, 5 now after tonight. And the feeling is you get the first one, you have the good energy, the positive mojo.
We got an outlier here. Come around. Come around.
Go on,
Man.
Jonesy. Go on. What's up, Mark?
My man.
How are you, man? Good to have you on. Come on, come right in the middle here.
Take the mic.
There's a microphone for you. You want to sit?
No, I'll stand. I'm
You
not,
sure?
I'm not going to stay a while.
You want some wine?
Got an early
I mean,
flight.
some
You
wine.
can't hide that money. You can't hide that money.
You're cleaner than the Board of Health, man. That's you.
Was that the craziest game you've seen?
Wow.
In a long time? It's got to be.
Yeah, we were signing the death certificate on the Raptors, man. And then the Grayson Allen play was probably the one that took the Raptors off of life support, man. And I mean, the shot by Gary.
Yeah.
It's great. You know, I thought the biggest thing of the night for me, from a Raptors perspective, was they kept digging and clawing, and I love the redemptive angle of the story with Scottie Barnes. That it took him a half to figure it out, and in the fourth quarter and overtime, he was great. Mm-hmm. Now he's got to flip the script a little bit and get it to the point where it's like that for 4 quarters.
So you're calling the game for ESPN. What are you saying in the first quarter when it's going like that? When the Raptors are 2 of 23.
I said it looked like a 3 o'clock run at LA Fitness.
Randy knows.
You guys know what I'm talking about.
I've been
There's
to a
3 o'clock
couple of
LA
those.
Fitness. Dude with the black socks wants in. Like, nah, you can't play in this game. That's what it was like. It was raggedy.
Yeah.
But no, it was good. It was great the way that, Raptors fought. But if they win, that's a game that turns the season around potentially. But
That's what we were just talking about, the silver lining here. Do you think that they can use this? Because this is an important stretch for them.
yeah, big. I think there are a couple of positives to take away, but you don't get points for moral victories. In the long run, you're gonna have to figure out who and what they are offensively. I just don't see that right now, and they're gonna have to work that out in the next little while, because ultimately you have to make a decision once you hit February 9th what you want the rest of your season to look like. So.
You didn't get to see the best of Pascal Siakam tonight,
yeah.
but from afar, what have you noticed about him this season?
Love the way he's played. Love his energy. Love the way that he's improved in being patient in the paint. His rim decisions, his mid-range game is better. I think his percentage of mid-range makes are up this year. I mean, I speak to Rico all the time and know that Rico's his day one, going back to his pre-draft camp when he was coming out of college, and the work that he's put in really shows this year. And just love his pace, the way that he's playing with, and he just had a bad night. I mean, he was due, right? 8 straight games, over 25 points, but he's still, in my estimation, an All-NBA player.
Yeah,
and
right.
I came on air tonight at ESPN saying this is the best player in the Eastern Conference that nobody's talking about.
Interesting. And I talked to you before the game about OG Anunoby and the impact that he is having on this season. And he's kind of in that borderline all-star area as well, right?
Yeah. I mean, when you look at two-way players,
Yeah.
guy that's sticking, somebody on both ends of the floor, playing defense, and it's going to come down to wins at 16 and 22. If you're voting today, he probably doesn't make it, but there's a lot of basketball to be played between now and All-Star break. So, he did a great job, especially when Pascal was out. Offensively, he can find that again. Tonight was just. Listen, I don't think you guys are going to have a first quarter like that for the rest of the season. No. If you do, then you got bigger problems.
That's true. Well, thank you for coming on and
thanks to the
bringing him on.
NBA schedule makers and ESPN assignment desk guy.
Do you want
to have New Year with them?
Do you want anything?
I've hit the nachos already.
You want a piece?
I've hit the chicken wings. I hit the Nashville hot chicken. I don't want to give back all of my workout this morning.
Okay.
So I'm going to stop right there. But
all
thanks.
right.
Thanks for having me.
Man, appreciate you.
You got it, man.
Thank you.
You got it.
Take care. All right, we'll end on this. A little bit of overtime, real quick. Have you ever had a ball strike you in the face in basketball? Because I came across this great video.
Hey, Dad, think fast. Listen, that child is going to be a pro athlete.
I don't know why that makes me laugh.
Just laughing at kids now?
What's
that how low
what's
you
wrong with
sunk
you?
to?
Where did you?
You
don't
want
think
me to
that's
laugh at a
funny?
kid getting hit in the face with a basketball?
You don't think
I'm
that's
laughing at
funny?
you, laughing at that kid.
I'm scrolling Instagram today. I'm like,
You're
I
a
got
freaking miscreant. That's what you are.
Has that ever happened to you? A ball hitting you in the face playing basketball? Because that happened to me grade 9. I get out there, I'm running a little motion. My boy Steve Kenyon throws it off my face. I wasn't paying attention.
No, then you weren't ready for the ball.
No, I wasn't.
So
Clearly,
you could relate to that
I
video.
can relate to that.
I'm just happy it happened to someone else.
Yeah, has that
A
ever
little
happened?
kid.
It's happened to you for sure.
No.
I know it didn't happen to you, Al.
No, it doesn't happen to
I'm
anybody that
running
plays
around
basketball.
like this, man. And most of the time, I had the ball.
Like if
Point
you're,
guard.
if you're looking, if you're playing ball, the ball's not going to hit you in your face.
No, I know that, but sometimes it happens in this game. No, sure? Okay, you didn't think that was funny, all right? Well, stop it there.
Wonk, 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 wonk.
It was a little bit funny.
Survey says.
Oh, okay, I'll do better next time. All right, next game for the Raptors, Friday night at the Scotiabank Arena. I was like, where am I? 7:30 p.m. Eastern against the New York Knicks is the tip-off. Don't forget, come to Real Sports, join us, and be a part of the show. We'll see you next time. Man, did I butcher that?